the United States and Putin's Russia, they're interested in getting for a new agreement. And I think they will reach the agreement, but they will use this opportunity to perform, to draw attention for themselves. Putin in particular needs this.
Now, let's welcome to the programme on the line live Mikhail Kasyanov, the former Prime Minister of Russia between 2000 and 2004. Welcome to you.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, John.
Good to have you here. So today is the day that the Strategic Arms Reduction Talks Treaty is due to expire. Are we, in your view, heading for a new nuclear arms race?
I don't think there will be actually a nuclear arm race, but there will be some kind of rhetorics for a few months. Mr. Putin and the President Trump as well, they like this and they will take this opportunity to perform themselves, and they will exchange different statements while experts will negotiate the text of new agreement. And I think just both sides, the United States and Putin's Russia, they're interested in getting for a new agreement. And I think they will reach the agreement, but they will use this opportunity to perform, to draw attention for themselves. Putin in particular needs this, and he will make statements on that, but his surroundings will make a tough statements, just blackmailing others, etc., etc. That is the what Mr. Putin wanted always to achieve: to sit down with the President of the United States and to negotiate, I would say, fate of the nations. That is one of the aspects they will be looking for.
Can Russia afford a nuclear arms race, which is clearly an enormously expensive business? The Russian economy is under pressure, and the war in Ukraine is draining resources.
That's one of the reasons, absolutely. That's why I'm saying there will be tough rhetorics, but finally both sides will come to the agreement. And Russia in particular, Putin understands this. Of course, he doesn't want to go further on. That is simply his arm, I would say, position just to have button nearby, but not more than that. He's afraid of using nuclear weapon at all. As I always said before, that Mr. Putin is not about that. He is a player, and he's raising the stakes and would like to achieve victory, especially, as you mentioned, just war in Ukraine. Until now, he believes the economy still allows him, financial position still allows him to finance the war, and that's why he is not ready for any concession.
Right, and
that's why those talks are useless right now.
Yeah, I mean, you do consider. It is pretty widely believed, for very good reason, that the talks on Ukraine, on the possible terms of a ceasefire, it's little more than a charade. Vladimir Putin shows no appetite for bringing about a halt to the fighting. The Russian demands certainly are as absolute as they have ever been. It's going through the motions, Mikhail Kasyanov, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, it's Putin is dragging time, and but it till now, but it will not last long. That's why if Ukraine could stand further on for another half a year, I think just in a few months, especially just if the control of sanctions would be, I would say, coordinated between the United States and European countries. In this case, just Putin would face very rapidly big problems of ability to finance the war. That's why in a few months that he will be more, I would say, willing to negotiate and to have to come to the concessions. Even now, we already noticed that Putin's propaganda already started to prepare public opinion in Russia.
Yeah.
That goals of the invasion, goals of the war already almost achieved. So that he would like for any, I would say, future agreement, ceasefire agreement, to present as a victory. That's what already there are some signs that this year, 2026, the war will finish. The only thing is consistency of the position of the West in particular, especially coordination between the United States and European Union and Great Britain. That is the most important thing in support of Ukraine, and provide all necessary equipment and warheads, etc., etc. But there are some problems on this, but all other negotiations, of course, that will be right now just will last for months and months. Yes. until position of Putin will be weakened.
That is also interesting. So you suggest that Russia is in a much weaker position when it comes to pursuing the war than is being said publicly, which suggests that with a bit more pressure on Russia from the allies and supporters of Ukraine, that Putin could be driven to the negotiating table and on terms more acceptable to Ukraine and Ukraine's friends. What would it take to push Putin then to the table and come to acceptable terms?
That's already the announced sanctions, already sanctions applicable, already could work effectively. The only reason is to control this, not just arrest 12 Great Fleet vessels, but we have 600 of that. That is the issue. And of course, if the promise that India would stop buying Russian oil, that's already another step, etc. That's why just we already see in January just the huge reduction of revenue Putin gets out of sale of oil because of the sanctions Mr. Trump imposed in October for Lukoil and Rosneft, two bigger producers of Russian oil. If control of these sanctions,
Yes.
coordinated control will continue, the problem will grow just rapidly.
Now, Western leaders, European leaders, friends of Ukraine, are naturally reluctant to say this out loud, but you will know there's an enormous amount of concern about Washington, President Trump getting too close to Putin and the Kremlin. Now, against that background, what do you make of the news that Russia and America have agreed to re-establish what are called high-level military dialogue? What does that mean?
I think that what Putin wanted always to have some special bilateral coordination, bilateral relations, and demonstrate for the whole world that he is continued to be as Soviet Union as superpower. It, of course, not the case at all, and President Trump and no other, I would say, leadership in the U.S. will treat Russia or see Putin's Russia as Putin wants it. But Putin wanted to achieve this, to restore his influence as Soviet Union had in that time. That's why just start three, whatever, continuation of this agreement, that's important for him. Other negotiations on other military aspects, that's also very important. That's important for US too, because that is a real, I would say, operative contact between militaries. That's important to avoid any mistakes. That's important thing, and I would agree that it is important. Let them have it.
Yeah. I mean, look, on another subject, you'll be aware, because how could you not be, about the story, the scandal concerning Jeffrey Epstein. Now, among many other lines on that story that are circulating, there is the suggestion that Epstein was in some way a Russian intelligence asset, organising those sexual honey traps for the rich and powerful that he had as guests. Can I ask you, first of all, what are your thoughts on that?
Of course, I have no information. The only thing what as all people just can get via internet, of course, not more than that. But of course, just all this information suggests that there are some ties between people around Putin and Jeffrey Epstein. That could be some kind of context, and that's what we knew in the past, that there are some operative agents in the Russian agent in the US just be having contacts with the high officials. That's what I don't exclude. That's could be the case. It's interesting, especially here in European capitals. And continental Europe, just people very much interested in, especially on the Czech Republic, because the first wife of President Trump was Czech person, and he visited Czech Republic and at that time and the Soviet time quite often. There are a lot of speculation, but I cannot see any confirmed facts.
No.
So to say something as particular, that it's only speculations in this moment.
Right, but you will know as well as anyone and better than most that the use of these so-called honey traps, it's a well-established form of gathering information and just putting senior relevant people into positions where compromat is gathered and they can be manipulated.
Yeah, you know this better than me. That's what we see and saw go quite often. Just and I wouldn't call examples. Just even in your country, that's quite a number of cases for too. Yeah.
All right. It's good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining me on the program.
Thank you.
Mikhail Kasyanov, the Prime Minister of Russia between 2000 and 2004.